Hello, friends. This is Simerjeet Singh taking a quick break in what's been a rather slow day. Not that time has moved any slowly. I mean, time actually moves at the same pace, right? It's our perception. Sometimes things are moving really fast. We say, oh, the day's just flown by, and other days, you're sort of even finding the time during lunchtime to record a quick audio like this one. Einstein said it beautifully. He said, when you're courting a nice girl, an hour seems like a second. And when you sit on a red hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. And that's relativity. That's relativity, my friends. So relatively today, time's been moving a little bit slow, and that's because I have been busy with the least sexiest components of the innovation process, which is finishing stuff. Finishing initiatives and ideas and aha moments and, new projects that we started. It's so exhilarating to start new stuff and sort of have a meeting around it and show it to other people, and the whole team's fired up, and then it sort of disappears. The daily firefighting takes over. I read this funny meme about meetings somewhere which said, are you lonely? Are you tired of working on your own? Do you love making presentations? So hold a meeting, or you can do all of this on company time. You can see people, show charts and PowerPoints and feel important and eat free food, have tea and coffee and get nothing done, all on company time. But the point I'm trying to make is this. It's exhilarating to start and launch and do new stuff and talk about it and make a presentation about it, write a social media post about it. And what is very, very difficult, my friends, is to roll up your sleeves and get to work. So especially if it goes against your strengths, especially if it goes against your innate nature, right? So I am more of an idea person. I randomly would come up with great ideas for content creation, for marketing, for engagement of our social media tribe, and so many other things. So I keep coming up with all these ideas, but then what I find is a pattern that daily firefighting takes over every now and then, and we lose out on finishing these things. And until we finish, there's no value addition, right? This is common sense, but not common practice. A lot of businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, organizations come up with great ideas, but we don't finish them, and there is no value addition to the world at large until you finish, until you bring that idea to life. One of the oldest marathon runners in the world is a gentleman that I deeply admire. He actually lives close by to where I live in Jalandhar city in Punjab. This gentleman goes by the name of Mr. Simerjeet Singh, and Mr. Singh is 105 years old now. And he is a popular person all across the world, great inspiring figure. During one of his marathons in London, a BBC journalist, I believe, asked him the seemingly silly question, Mr. Singh, you've just started another marathon. Could you please tell us, could we please tell our viewers, how are you feeling right now? To which Mr. Simerjeet Singh replied in chest Punjabi. He doesn't know English, so his coach does the translation for him. So Mr. Simerjeet Singh replied in Punjabi, which I will translate in English for you as well. He said, मैं 104 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਗੋਡੇ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਪਰ ਕਾਕਾ ਹੁਣ ਰੇਸ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ ਤੇ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਹੈ, which loosely translated means, son, I'm 104 years old now. What do you expect? My knees hurt, but now that I've started this race, son, I got to finish it, right? So this is the beauty of people who finish things, who make things happen. Simerjeet Singh wouldn't have the sort of sense of satisfaction, the joy, the fame, and all the other things that came to him if he wouldn't be finishing his marathons. And that's a point that I'm trying to make here. We all got to learn to finish stuff, especially if you are the innovative, creative type. Understand that for creative folks, you've got a whole big bridge to cross in order to get from creativity to innovation. Creativity is coming up with new ideas. Innovation is making them happen, is going through the hard part of execution, right? And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to give you 9, it's actually 8 pointers. I've stretched it to 9 because 8's not really that sexy. 9 is, 9 ways to change your life. So this is, these are the 9 sort of pointers, practical sort of tips which you might find useful in your journey of making things happen. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a solopreneur, a freelancer who's sort of lacking the discipline to finish projects, you're a young student who's lacking the discipline to finish the assignments, you're an aspiring author who's lacking the discipline to publish that next blog post or to finish that chapter, or you're a motivational speaker with a huge list of things that you must complete. You will benefit from these 9 things. Number 1, learn to switch gears. It's really, you got to understand that the mindset is everything. So on days that I exclusively devote to finishing things, I dress up differently. I come in with a different frame of mind to work. It's not the usual day for me, right? You want to get different sort of results. You've got to condition your mind and your body and your psyche in an entirely different way. So it's literally time to roll up the sleeves and to tell yourself to switch gears, to have a very clear list of objectives in front of you, and to understand that to have that sense of urgency. So switching gears, that is point number 1. Number 2, expect huge, massive internal resistance. Expect massive internal resistance. Your internal resistance, because you're a creative person, is going to tell you, we could do this later. Let me go do that first. Let me check my social media now. Let me do this. Let me make that phone call. Let me meditate now, etc., etc. Your internal resistance is going to find like 1,000 very excellent excuses, I call them, excellent excuses, to convince you out of doing stuff, right? So understand, recognize, know thy enemy, right? So expect huge amount of internal resistance. And number 3 is resist the temptation to start or jump into other new projects, no matter how exciting they might be, no matter how powerful that aha moment is. Write it down if you have to. Record it somewhere so you don't lose track of it, but don't sort of divert your creative attention to that direction. Record it. Make sure it's visible somewhere so you can pursue it later, but don't start taking action on it. That's number 3. So number 1 was switch gears, right? Number 2, expect huge internal resistance, know thy enemy. Number 3, resist the temptation by all means to start other new projects, right? And also resist the temptation to go to social media, because that's another very powerful way of avoiding confronting the things that you need to confront. I dare you, I challenge you to finish the unfinished tasks in your life and in your business, right? Number 4, my friends, is have a very clear, simple checklist which clearly demonstrates what is the end result that you're trying to seek here. What is the end result? What does my brain, my eyes, my sensory organs, what do they need to see, feel, or experience when I can say, aha, this job is done now, okay? Be very clear about that. Number 5, visualize yourself going all the way to that desired state. Visualization for me is a powerful tool. Visualizing the process, not just the end outcome. I visualize the process as well. I can see myself finishing, working on that thing, making it happen. I see and visualize other people responding favorably. I see and visualize favorable conditions. I see and visualize things moving forward in the direction. And then I see myself all the way to the end destination, having a little celebration with the team and saying, okay, this thing is now done. Number 6, my friends, perhaps is the most important on this list of 8 or 9, whatever you want to call it. Number 6 is delegate, collaborate, outsource, hire freelancers, get help, ask for help. You cannot do it all by yourself, especially if you're a creative person. Right? While you strengthen that muscle of execution, while you strengthen that muscle of doing things, in the meanwhile, please collaborate with other people who are experts in getting that thing done, or who make their bread and butter from that very thing, which might mean a little more financial expenditure for you, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be worthwhile, because you will get more stuff done, right? If you involve these people, even if it involves paying extra money. So delegate, collaborate with the right side of folks, outsource things that you can, hire freelancers, and get other people to help you on this so that you don't feel overwhelmed. Creative people feel overwhelmed very easily with the execution part and they give up. And in this very thing, the world loses out on so many brilliant inventions and ideas, and your business is going to lose out on so many new ideas. Don't let that happen to you. Delegate, collaborate, outsource, hire freelancers. Number 7, communicate your expectations to them very clearly, please, right? Invest time in communicating your expectations to these freelancers, to these people that you're collaborating with. Don't lower your standards. You are not going to like it if you lower your standards. Keep the high standards, keep the bar high, but at the same time, communicate in great detail, in great clarity, and find the right sort of people who have the temperament to work with you, right? Don't work with the sort of people who will not spend time understanding your vision, because then this entire process is going to backfire. Find the right kind of people who have the patience to understand your vision and who have the sort of communication ability to get this message, to understand this message and communicate what they feel. So communicate expectations clearly. Don't lower your standards if you don't want this process to backfire. If you want this process to work for you, please communicate your expectations clearly and well in advance. Number 8. Create checkpoints where you can see progress and offer suggestions for course correction if there are any, right? So I usually do this if there is like some copywriter is working on a new web page, or some video editor is working on something, or whatever we're working on. I would, in the process of delegation, because I like to have things done, to a high standard and, to the sort of standards that I'm used to. So what I will do is I will create checkpoints. So if you want to move from creativity to innovation, my friends, after delegating, create checkpoints where you can see progress happening, and that progress is going to reassure you that this process works. And also, if people are not matching up to your expectations, it's a good time to say, hey, let's pause here. You probably haven't understood what we're trying to do. This is what I'd like to see. So, that process saves everybody time. And so this is where you move from getting things done by yourself to being a mentor, to being a guide, to being a trainer, so that you build a working relationship with this third party, and then you can use them over again in the future as well. That was number 8. So actually, there are 8 things that I would want to share on this. Number 9 is just to re-emphasize the most important point. Collaboration is the key, my friends. Collaboration is the key. You don't have to do it all alone. Please understand, you don't have to do it all alone. There is no glory in burnout. There is no glory in doing everything yourself, right? And especially if execution and completion are not your strengths, I urge you to get help. I will finish this recording with this wonderful quote from Theodore Lewitt, I believe, Theodore Lewitt, who wrote this popular HBR article, which is called Creativity is Not Enough. I think it was written long back. I'm not sure which year. It was very controversial when it came out, because Theodore actually challenged every prevailing conception about innovation at that point of time. And I think it's still valid today. Go read that HBR article by Theodore Lewitt, which is titled Creativity is Not Enough. And I quote from that article, "What is often lacking is not creativity in the idea-creating sense. What is often lacking is not the creativity in the idea-creating sense, but innovation in the action-producing sense, i.e., putting ideas to work." So when Theodore Lewitt is talking about the gap between creativity and innovation, he beautifully, poetically is sort of segregating these two things, which are often confused and used interchangeably, creativity and innovation. He's saying what is often lacking is not creativity. In other words, there's plenty of creativity floating around in the idea generation sense, idea creation sense, but innovation in the idea producing sense, i.e. putting ideas to work. And that, my friends, is very hard. And that, my friends, is the least sexiest component of the innovation process. And if you can develop the sort of self-discipline to do this and to change gears, I promise you that you will add so much value to whatever that you're doing today. You guys take care. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye now.